everyone, welcome to the second part of this video from Rita Berman's winter book and also from her compilation seasons book. And we're going to be starting today on the trees. I'm going to be using my Polychromos pencils as I did in the for the background. Now I did say I was going to go over the snow and star shapes with a second layer. I haven't done that. I may do it later, but I haven't done it yet. It's sort of up to you really how dark you want yours to look. Now I'm going to start with a light-ish layer of raw umber on all of my trees and then work from there really. Now with these trees, look, they go right, some of them don't go quite to the spine, there's a bit of white. I'm going to sort of ignore that and just colour as far in as I can without worrying too much. Now I'm colouring them all in the same colour to start with, as a sort of base really. And then I'm going to work on each tree individually, trying to form a little bit of shape into these tree trunks to make them look a little bit more rounded. But just getting this raw umber. Nougat was what I was going to choose, and then I decided to go warmer to start with. And then I'll, as I say, grab some different colours and work out what's going on. So we've got quite a bundle of trees right on this edge, almost sort of framing the edge of our picture. And so yes, it doesn't matter too much about neatness, I don't think, at this stage. But and if you can see the up and down lines, I don't think that matters either, because it's bark, so it would have lines that go that way anyway. There we go. Quite tricky on this edge. I may get disturbed by the doorbell. My neighbour popped over earlier and wanted something. Oddly, a roof tile. I've got some spare roof tiles in my garden. Should we be a bit closer? There we go. It's a little bit strange, we had our roofs, quite a lot of roof tiles taken off when we had our solar panels put on our roof. I don't know of anyone else having that done, so I don't know whether it was even should have been done, but we've got all these roof tiles in our garden in a sort of really messy pile. I'm getting a line here because the paper that I've got underneath is a bit thick and isn't pushing right into the spine. There we go, it should be better. Anyway, so we have these roof tiles in our garden, and my neighbour came over and said he's having some work done. His guttering is broken on his house and needed cleaning out, things like that. And actually the guy who did mine the other week, I sent him round to them. And so he said he's having it done, and they discovered a broken roof tile, and could he buy one of ours off us? So I said, you can have one, because I don't know if we're going to need them. I do wonder whether when we change our solar panels, which we will do eventually when they stop working, whether the new ones will need tiles underneath. But if they do, we can just put some cheap new ones up that don't need to match the rest of the houses. Whereas it looks nice if people have got a roof tile broken, that they replace one that is weathered in the same way as the rest of the area and the rest of their roof. To have an odd one that looks a bit different is a bit strange, especially as we sort of look out on each other's roofs. Just because of the height of our houses, I suppose probably everybody, and the closeness of our houses really. So and it's nice to get rid of a few. There's a few broken ones which I need to get rid of really, but yeah, so I may get a knock on the door. They're working over there at the moment, just sort of cleaning out the guttering and things like that, but I think it looks like he has replaced a whole piece by the looks. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, that's better. My nose isn't tickling now. Oh dear. Anyway, so he might ring the bell. I was actually going to do another video premiere. I did one yesterday, but I don't think I'm going to get time. I might be able to do one tomorrow. Because if he comes to the door in the middle, or I'm sort of recording this video or whatever, gets a bit tricky. It's tricky to fit it in. But my last premiere, which was on the, just trying to work out where that, I'm pretty sure that is behind the reindeer. My last one that I did, YouTube allowed me to give away 10 free channel memberships. Now, I didn't know how it was going to work at all, so I just pressed the button and it just randomly assigned them to people who were my subscribers. And you have to apparently select something on your within your YouTube to say that you're up for receiving gifts, because it effectively said it was a free gift from me, when it was from me, but on the other hand, I didn't pay for it. You know, it was a freebie sort of thing. So, and I didn't, it just randomly chose 10 people. So, some people might no longer even look at YouTube and they might have no idea that they had it. And when some people might notice it, I definitely know if some people noticed. So that was good. But I think YouTube are doing it to try and encourage people to see what memberships are about, consider taking them out, because obviously, as well as the YouTuber making a little bit of money out of the memberships, obviously YouTube takes quite a cut for themselves as well. But you know, that's the way it is in all of these things. You know, you're helping them, they're helping you, sort of thing. So everyone takes a bit. Even Ko-fi, where I put my free downloads, if people make a donation, they take a share. They say they don't charge fees. No, they don't charge a fee, but they charge they take a fee when you withdraw the money, or at some other point. They definitely get money. Take some off you. So I think they're all much for muchness, to be honest. And I don't blame them, because they've got to make money. They have staff, they have, you know, customer services, someone's got to do the admin. There's all sorts of things they've got to do. They're a business as much as everybody else. So it's absolutely fair that they take a fee. But I think it slightly irks me that they say they don't. The way they word it, no, they don't take that specific type of charge, but they do charge. So, excuse me. Oh, a sudden tickle. Anyway, but yes, I'm quite happy. Like PayPal, you know, and all these places, Stripe and everyone else, they take a fee. Even your bank, you know, everybody has to charge. You have to keep going. So it's just the nature of business. You've got to pay people. You've got to pay for everything. And, you know, it's fine. So it's just the way it is. But, yeah, as I say, so YouTube take a cut, but they do of everything. So when you, when a YouTuber, it's a little bit of white paper here. On my other one, I actually put background in there, you know, like sky. I'll show you. See, I put a little bit of sky in there, but I think it, I might just leave it white on this one, as I haven't done that. Oh, now my nose wants to be sniffy. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, YouTube takes a bit, but same as when adverts are shown in the video, if you watch, I think it's 30 seconds or more of the ad run, skipping them, yes, the maker, the YouTuber, will get paid if they're monetized, if their channel's monetized. Mine is. Not everyone monetizes their channel or is allowed to. This is walnut brown. It's a little bit complicated to explain about who's allowed and who's not, but I'll try in a minute. But, you know, you don't get the full amount that they're paid for the adverts. I'm not doing a very good job of it. Just colour this along the edge of this tree trunk. Yeah, so we only get a small amount, but it's the only way that some YouTubers get paid. I also get money from the affiliate links in my description. Yeah, but it's not a great deal of money. I think the big YouTubers like Mr. Beast will say, oh, don't bother watching the adverts, I don't make much money from it. But he makes a lot of money from other things, whereas a lot of smaller YouTubers, the YouTube adverts are the only way they make money. So actually watching the ads can make a huge difference to them. So it varies. And also at different times of the year, the ads pay more money. It's interesting, isn't it? See, I've done a little stripe either side of the tree trunk. I don't know how easy it is for you to see. What I'm going to do now is try and fade that in towards the centre of the trunk. I'll try and show you here where it's a bit tricky. Yeah, so with adverts, the advertising slots are auctioned by YouTube to the advertisers. They don't go, oh, here's your advert for Mr. Beast, here's your advert for, I can't think of anyone else, Chris Cheng, here's your advert for Colour with Claire, here's your advert for My Colourful Country Life, etc. They don't do that, but month by month I gather, or time by time, there's a sort of auction where X advertiser will go, I want X amount of slots, I'm prepared to pay X amount of money. And so I think something like that. So in times of year, certain times of year, advertising spaces are more expensive. That's what I'm getting to, really. Now hopefully that tree looks a little bit more rounded. It's quite difficult to see. We're going to do this one, and hopefully you can see a bit better than the one in there. I'm going to do them different colours, which is why I'm going to do this one next. I'm going to do a few with this colour, a few with different shade of brown. Now I'm ignoring all the lines and knots and things like that on the trees, and I think it's easier that way. So the best time for me, advertising wise, is November. And I think that is because we're sort of leading up to Christmas. People shop a lot more in November, I think. There's Thanksgiving as well as Christmas, you know, all those sort of holiday times. And both in America, where you obviously have Thanksgiving, I don't know what you do gift-wise or whether it varies from families. Of course, in the UK, Christmas is the big gift-giving time, and people buy gifts for their direct family, their household, as well as friends and family. You know, people can be spending an awful lot of money. And so that is a very good time to be advertising because people are looking to spend money. So hence November is the time when I make the most money from adverts on my videos. And I have no control over who advertises on here, how long the adverts are, whether they're skippable or unskippable. YouTube does all of that. All I control is whether they're on there at all, which I'd say yes, and what type, because you can have, there are a few different types of adverts, ones at the end and beginning and banner ads and things like that. I'm going to do one of these now with this colour. So if you get unskippable ads on various channels that you watch, don't be cross with the channel maker, what you call them, YouTuber I suppose, because it's not their fault. And even at channels that haven't monetized can have adverts put on them by YouTube, so it's not even something that you can always control. So it's always better to monetize if you can. You have to fit certain criteria to be allowed to monetize. You have to, I think, this is how it was. I'm going to do this one next. Hopefully you can start to see the difference, how it looks a little bit more three-dimensional with the darker edge and lighter middle. It used to be that you had to have a certain amount of subscribers. It used to be 1,000, and I think it was 4,000 watch hours. No, that doesn't sound enough. I don't know. Anyway, a certain amount of watch hours, but they have changed it slightly now because of shorts. Because you won't get masses of watch hours with a short, because obviously it only lasts for a minute or less. So they've changed the criteria slightly with regards to shorts, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. But you have to hit those criteria and then you can opt in. There are other things as well. If you have content with children in, you can't, I don't think you can monetize videos with children in, I'm not entirely sure. And if you've got any sort of controversial content, I won't say the categories because then I will be including that controversial content, even though I'm only naming it in my video. But it's nothing that I would ever include in mine, you know. I have had 2 video bans though, because there were thoughts that my content was controversial, but it was fine. I just flagged it up and said, hey, can you check this? Because it isn't, and they have to get a person then to check it, because they use a bot to check, and they get a person to check it, and they're like, no, you're fine. So I'm going to do the very last one. So yeah, that was quite funny actually. But so they're fairly strict. And it can be quite frustrating if you're a new and sort of YouTuber with not a big amount of subscribers or view time that you can't monetize. They used to monetize everybody, and then they brought in some rules. I don't really know why they brought in the rules, to be honest. I'm sure there was a good reason. But my boys used to, on their Stoby channel, used to be monetized, and then they weren't anymore, because when the rules changed. Right, I'm going to do a couple trees in the burnt sienna. Okay, just going to sharpen it a little bit. So I'm going to do this second tree here. I'm going to use the same technique. Now on my original picture I did all my trees the same, exactly the same. I thought I'd mix it up this time, it's a bit more interesting. But you can do them all exactly the same if you would rather. There's no rules. Well, you set your own rules for your own picture. Now I'm trying to do the same thing, so doing a darker bit along the edge. And then sort of fading it in towards the middle. I'm leaving a bit of a gap where we can see the original colour shining through. Yeah, YouTube is a tricky one, you know. I think, what's I reading in the news that Mr. Beast had put one of his short videos onto X, i.e. Twitter. He'd always said he wouldn't go on there because he just wouldn't make enough money, and Twitter were trying to prove that he could make money, and he said he would announce how much he made, even though he doesn't usually announce how much he made, just because for the purpose of this experiment. And he made $250,000 from the video that he put up there, which was one he'd already had on YouTube for quite a while. But it turns out, so my boys were telling me, because I said about it, they watch Mr. Beast sometimes. They were telling me that apparently Twitter, X, had to promote, although Mr. Beast said he wasn't going to pay to promote this video, he does pay to promote videos sometimes, because it was an experiment. Unfortunately, Twitter had paid to promote it, and you could see that on the... It's interesting how different that one looks to that one when they're the same colour. I think it's because it's a bit lighter, but I don't mind that it looks different. I'm just making sure it's neat-ish. You know me, I'm not massively neat. So he tried to put it on X. I don't touch Twitter with a barge pole, or X, whatever it's called now, because it's a negative space, so I gather, and I'm not up for that. I have had a bit of trolling, not loads, and it was fine, and I ignored it, and it didn't bother me at all. But I don't think I would want lots and lots and lots. It would, you know, be, I wouldn't like that. My channel certainly doesn't come from a negative space, and I wouldn't want to have to be constantly looking to see if there was negative comments and things that I would have to take off, because, you know, wouldn't want that to be associated with my channel. So I made the decision really early on not to use Twitter or X. I have never used it personally either. I obviously started off using Instagram, which I'd used already, but and then I moved on to Facebook, which again I used already. But I have used some new social media channels, Pinterest and Reddit, which I haven't used before, just to sort of get word out there about my videos. But it wasn't like I don't want to learn new things, and I'm also set up an account on Threads, which and TikTok, but I've not done much on them for a long time because they don't really seem to be they don't seem to be generating any traffic very much as far as I can tell. And although I'm sort of a bit about marketing, you know, it's nice to let people know that you exist as a channel, etc. I'm not like, I prefer to attract people because, I want to spread the word about colouring. This isn't working, is it? Rather than trying to get extra views and things. But the only way you can track whether you're working is to look at your views and where your traffic's come from and things like that. And the YouTube data is okay. I haven't done much in the way of marketing, purposeful marketing, for a long time really. What I tend to do is just share pictures of my completed work, tell people about my videos, and hope they find me really. Obviously you do have to tell people, even if you're not in it for very much of a reasoning. If you find that your following doesn't grow, or you don't get feedback, or people aren't watching, you're going to give up. So you need to make sure people know that you exist. Do you see what I mean? I'm trying to think what to do with this last bit. I think I might go really dark and use the dark sepia for the last tree trunks. Yeah, so when I first started out, my channel wasn't monetized. I wasn't making any money, and yet I still wanted people to be interacting with my channel. I wanted to make sure people were watching, because if they weren't, it all felt a bit pointless. And so I started to sort of just tell people about it. But I was part of a couple of Facebook groups where you were allowed to promote your channels. So I did that, and that helped me a lot. I already had people that knew me on those, and but now that Facebook group doesn't allow you to do that. I think only the admins and moderators are allowed to, which I guess, you know, they work really hard on the channel doing the, I wouldn't want to do moderating and admin myself. That's why I don't have my own Facebook group. So they work hard, so I guess they get their reward by being able to promote their channel. And you know, that's all fine. But I don't tend to be very active on those Facebook groups anymore. It's partially a time thing. When I go onto a Facebook group, I feel like I want to give positive feedback to everybody's pictures, and you know, every picture makes me smile or inspires me in a different way. We're doing this one, and I want to be able to let people know that I appreciate it, and it just takes such a lot of time. And I just got to the point where I was spending so long doing it that I wasn't having enough time to do other things, so I just stepped right back. And yeah, it's a shame in a way, but it's just, you know, the way things are, and with family to balance as well as videos and things, you know, you've got to try and make sure you've got some time to yourself. This one is our last tree. Now you could spend a lot longer on these than I have, and you could work on some of the details that Rita's drawn on the trees if you wish to, but to be honest, I think they still stand out for themselves. They don't really need extra work. Remember, there's a bit of this tree down here, so I think they're okay where that's concerned. Where these are overlapping, you might want to put some shadows in. I did last time. I might do it on these two, right in here. Think about which tree is the one you think is slightly further forward and do the shadow to the side of it. So I feel this one's in front, so a bit of shadow on that one. Same here, I think this one's in front, so I'm going to put a little bit of extra shadow in there. And when you're putting like shadow as in actual shadow, go against the black line, and I can do it on these as well. Which one's in front? I think to the right of this first one. Go against the black line and right up to it, leave no space. There's no space in a shadow. Just working all the way through. Now the next one, I think I'm going to go to the right again. You have to sort of decide which one's in front, which one's behind. I don't know if I've done that right. I don't know if there is a right, to be honest. Now the little circles drawn on these trees that look like knots in the wood, you could, I'm going to go, yeah, right of this one. You could go over those with the darker pencil to make them look a little bit different, to stand out or whatever, but I'm just, because I'm not doing anything with the diagonal lines, yeah, to the right. I feel like I don't want to do anything with those either, or else I think it's going to look a little bit strange. So I'm just going to leave it all as it is. Oh, I want to sneeze again. Oh, don't sneeze. There we go. Oh, squiff. There we are. Now we've still got all the ground to do. I'm wondering whether to leave the rest for a new video. I think I might just do a tiny, I think I'm going to go over the stars again. I can use my Posca Pen and go back over the stars. Now I've done the trees, I feel like I want to go back over them. I'm hoping that as I work through you'll be able to see that they are brighter. 2 layers. Oops, I rubbed off the previous layer there. Can make quite a difference because we're over the top of black in quite a few instances here. Then the black shows through a little bit. So I need to be a little bit careful. There we go. I'm just going to work through. But yeah, I find there's a lot of negativity on social media, but I find the colouring community is mainly a very positive place. I've come across a few little problems here and there, but nothing much. Yes, some people have met someone who's upset them. I think sometimes people maybe they aren't that careful in the way they phrase things online, and it doesn't come from a place of nastiness or negativity, but it comes across a little bit wrong. Do you know what I mean? So I think every time I've seen something like that, I think that's what it's been. Someone's heart's been in the right place, they're trying to be helpful or nice, but it just doesn't quite come over. You know what I mean? So mainly there are a few, I can name a few, but I won't, absolutely won't, but it mainly a positive, happy place. And I think compared to most other sort of areas on social media, I think the colouring world is lovely. I don't know whether that reflects the whole of the art world on social media, because I'm not, I don't get into other areas, but I hope so, because I think with art generally and colouring specifically being so good for our mental health, being, so relaxing, so just generally positive. I'm hoping that is the case for all of it, As I say, I don't know for sure. I do have a neighbour who's on social media who's an artist, and I follow a few other artists who aren't colourists, and that all seems lovely, but they are actually all promoting themselves, so they wouldn't be funny and nasty, but their comments and things all seem nice too, which is good. I do think sometimes people who aren't into art or aren't into colouring can get a little bit confused. I'm just going to shake my pen as to what we're doing. They think colouring isn't for adults and that sort of thing. I've met someone who said, well, to me, just write to my face, well, that's for kids. But he and his wife was like, shush. She was like, your daughter does it. And he was like, well, she shouldn't. But he just was very old-fashioned. He also had Alzheimer's, bless him. He just didn't. He was a very outspoken person even before he was unwell. So it's fine. I didn't mind, because I have had someone else be a lot ruder about it, but we won't go there. But generally, people are good. And I'm also a little bit cagey about when people say, what do you do? It's a bit tricky. And actually it was interesting, because I was watching a video by Sarah Rennie Clark, and she was saying people ask her what she does, and she couldn't really put her finger on it because her videos are quite varied. Whereas I say I teach art online a lot to people, and they go, oh, that's nice, and then move on, because if they're not interested in art and don't know about what online is, they don't really ask any more questions. You don't have to get too specific. Or I say coloured pencils, and as soon as I say coloured pencils, I think they start thinking it's a bit childish. I don't think people understand what you can do with the coloured pencil, because they associate it with primary school children. But anyway, that's all well and good. But she was saying she didn't know how to describe what she was doing, because I think she has been a little bit of a victim of trying to follow, I think she admitted this virtually in her video, trying to follow trends and also do things that people want her to do, which aren't always what she wants to do. Now, I'm always very careful of that. I try to, if people ask me to do a video on something like this one, I will wait until I'm ready to do it. And if it really is something that I don't feel comfortable with, I don't do it, because I don't want to do something that doesn't make me happy. I think it shows, so I do what I want to do. But I'm still up for suggestions, and it sometimes plants a seed in my brain which eventually leads me to doing something based on that suggestion. It might not be exactly it, sometimes it is, and it's always useful, but it doesn't mean that it's always going to get done, perhaps not immediately or perhaps not at all. But I think she's been trying to sort of go after algorithms and views and, but YouTube does make you think that way. It will go, you've got this many extra views on this month because you released extra videos, implying, you need to keep doing it. Or says, people who do collaborations get more views. Why don't you consider a collab video? And things like that. And I'm like, I think to myself, well, collabs are all well and good if you go live, but I don't, so I couldn't do that. My camera isn't suitable for live videos. It's just not set up that way, I don't think. There's software, I'd have to run it through some software, and also the battery doesn't last long enough. Even when it's plugged in, the battery drains quicker than the charge, if you know what I mean. So eventually it runs out. So if you're doing a live, that will be a disaster. It hasn't run out on me lately because I'm much better at planning, but because I know I have to be good at planning. But if it ran out in a live, as I say, it'd be a disaster. But if it runs out in a video that I'm recording, I can just come back to it once I've charged it, so it's okay. It's still a bit annoying because I sort of lose my flow, and as I say, I haven't done it lately because I plan a bit more carefully, but it's a bit of a pain. I know it's one of the biggest criticisms that people have of this camera, which is interesting, is that the battery doesn't last long enough. Of course you can buy another one, but then you have to sort of swap in and out, which, yeah. Anyway, if I wanted to do lives, I would find a way, but I don't really. I quite like doing premieres, but I tend not to get the time to always do them. There's often things going on at the time my videos go out, but I try and do a few. And I do like having a chance to talk to everyone. It's really nice. And I know some of you like to be there even if you don't talk, and that's fine as well. We're not all chatty. So it just depends. We're nearly here. We're going to be doing a lot more snow on the ground in the next video. I'm going to do another video because I know the first one was really long, but I don't want to make this one as long as that. I thought we could, I'm just going to do this column. I thought we could split this into 3 and do the ground and the reindeer in the last one. Partly because I've got to go, and partly because you might need time to catch up on the background because it's not easy. There we go. The trees didn't take quite so long, but there we are. I think it looks better with the second coat of white. But as I say, we'll come back and we'll do the reindeer in the ground. The ground, I'm going to do similar to what I did before. It's quite straightforward. I'm going to have a look and see what colour reindeer are to decide on how to do them, but I might keep them quite pale. We don't want them the same colour as the tree. But anyway, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching. Hoping that you have a super day and happy colouring.